I will first touch on this program and what as coaches we want to try and get in terms of athlete outcomes or the programs. And I'm sure it is quite intuitive for you as well. All of us want to make sure that it is a quality delivery of our program, whatever the program is. By the way, very quick hand, the sort of sports I'm staring at, I can see swimming here. Swimming coach now? Alright, let's go. Okay. Track and field, I see there. I see badminton. I see sailing. What else? Shooting. Yeah. Bowling. Okay. Yeah. No other sports? Okay. So I will try and keep that into that context. The other one that is important is to keep it safe, to make sure it's engaging for the young athletes and make it fun. I think one of the easiest ways to see whether a program works, alright, is to look at your athletes. If they are really having fun and smiling, in your session, obviously something must be right. But if they look glum and then bored and half the time they are not active, they are not engaged in your program, then something perhaps needs to be tweaked, right? So that's quite obvious to us. The thing that I'll be sharing today is with regards to the 4 C's. Alright, so if you're not familiar, 2 years ago we invited Professor Jean Coutet from Canada. How many of you attended the youth coaching conference that we had then? See one? So the rest of you are not familiar with what he has shared. He shared about transformational coaching. Alright? And youth coaches should be effectively transformational coach, and it's based on a leadership model. If you are familiar with transformational leadership, it's based on that, but in a sporting context. Alright? So be familiar with this 4C. In other words, you want your athlete to be able to be competent, to build up on your character, to make connection. I will elaborate a little bit more of that, and to be confident. Okay? Through what you're doing in your program. And then the idea of JSA is always to expose them to the different sports. So you as coaches need to understand, as young athletes, they should not be specializing too early. Right? There's a reason why they need exposure. So within the JSA program, you will notice that they are deliberately ensuring that there's exposure to different sports as well. Okay? So even though they may be in your sport, you want to be seen as encouraging them to be involved with that and understand the need for strong fundamental movement skill and strong fundamental sport skill. The sport skill that you are developing in them. And then each one will be different. Some of them are really exposed really early to that sport, some are not. Some are tall, early maturers, some are not. Alright, some are very active, some are very quiet. So you will have to deal with individual participants' needs. Okay, so later on I will have an interesting video for you to look at. And the last bit is, there are many ways for you to let the participant learn a skill, right? So most of the time we will drill them in a particular way. But there are many other ways, alright? One of these ways is through constraint-based coaching. And the reason why we want to introduce this approach is because it is engaging and is based on self-discovery. In other words, let the athletes learn themselves, what is the thing that you are trying to drive at. Okay, so that one, Chiani is going to try and talk about it later on. And there will be some practical session for you. So this is the video that I thought I shared with you. I don't know if you have seen this. The sound will come out. Right, anyway, it's in Japanese. Okay, just stretching sound. Just look at the subtitle, you will understand. Gist of the video shows that each child is different, right? Although that particular child is a bit autistic, right? So conventionally, you expect the child to be drawing something beautiful, you know, in an A4 size paper, a nice fish, and so on. But this child is different. He sees it from a different perspective. So he was sketching all black, you know, images there. And to some, it looks dark. Man, why is this child drawing it in that manner? But later on, when you see the overall picture, it's so artistic, right? So every child is different. So that's what you're going to be experiencing, right? In sports as well. Different child learns it in a slightly different way. It won't be everyone will be learning it as fast because you stick to one particular way. You must allow them to discover it in their own different way, right? So the other thing that is important is coaches have to see themselves as leaders. If you don't see yourself as leaders to try and create a program that is unique, that can bring out the best out of the participant, then it will never happen. In other words, because you come in with your own coaching philosophy, right? Each coach has his own different coaching philosophy. You have your own values as well, but you also need to know what is the MOE's JSA values, right? You cannot just be imposing your values. But all these have got an influence in how you deliver and what sort of leadership behaviors you will project. And it's important that we have some form of clarity on that, because like the last phrase, the quality of an athlete's experience can never exceed the quality of the leadership providing it. In other words, if the coach do not provide that kind of a leadership in what they want to deliver within that program, well, it will be limited to that. But if you see yourself as providing leadership to ensure that experience will be positive, engaging, fun, then it will happen. It will not happen intuitively. So, what then? We talk about a coach having to have that values, the philosophy, and a goal out of that program that they want to do. What is the outcome you want out of the athlete? We talk about these 4 C's. So I want you to be comfortable with knowing what these 4 C's are about. So you want within your program that they become competent. In other words, they have a feeling that, yeah, I've learned something, a skill that's there. I'm comfortable because I learned badminton, I learned swimming, I learned whatever skill that you teach, right? The other C is confidence. In other words, they feel that there is self-worth in what they are learning through the sport that they are involved. So in your program, they will feel good. They've got to come back every session there because they feel they are learning something. They feel more and more confident of their own ability and self-worth. Okay, that's what confidence is all about. Connection. Constantly, they have to engage with their peers. They've got to engage with you as a coach. They've got to engage with parents or administrators and so on. So you've got to guide them in how to do that. Because as coach as well, you will be having to deal with similar things. You have to deal with the athletes, you have to deal with the parents, you have to deal with people like us, coordinators and fellow coach or coach developers. And the last bit, character. While we all say, yeah, character is important, but do we as coaches really see that value, or do we just impart the technical skills? Okay, so that's something. So, what would the coach need to know? Can you rattle up? In order to achieve that, what would the coach need to know? Most obvious ones, right? You have gone through all your accreditation, you are all NYSI certified, I hope, or registered. So, what would be the areas that you need to know? So you need to have your professional knowledge, right? Your whatever level that you are at now allows you to be competent in delivering it, set that sporting setting so that you can deliver those outcomes, the 4 C's that you want. That's obvious. Okay, that's helped you because you have gone through all your technical courses, your relevant theory courses, your basic sports science or whatever you have there. Okay, to allow you to have that professional knowledge. So I won't touch too much on that. My focus will be in the center portion here that talks about how then do you help them in terms of their interpersonal skills. Because you too are needing to be competent in that. And we talk about that 4 I's. If you notice, it's deliberate. It makes it easier for us to understand it. It's all starting with I's, so 4 I's. So these are the knowledge and behaviors as coaches that you want to be able to acquire so that you can help your athletes. And that's not just confined to JSA, right? We are talking about universal, whichever athletes you are dealing with. And the last bit is intrapersonal. That means, as a coach as well, in order for you to improve, you need to do reflection. Are you doing the right thing? Are you adapting to the changes? Are whatever you thought will happen really happening? So we're going to touch a little bit on that, but my focus will be in the center bit, and the focus for Chiari will be in terms of skill acquisition there, a variation, constraint-based coaching, right? And some of my colleagues will be helping out with reflection as well, talking to you about, yep, do you think you are doing the things that are right? Is there something that we need to tweak? So the UFA coaches, some of the colleagues here, like Simon there, Leonard there, Joanne somewhere at the back there, will help you and guide you in some of the things that you are doing. So, very quickly, you understand the gist of that. So, I don't want it to be one way. So, I'm going to ask you, what do you think will be the important coaching behaviors in terms of instruction? How can you help in terms of developing the 4 C's? In other words, you want them to be competent, you want them to have confidence, you want them to develop character. So, what's important about instruction? If you look at a coach, what is it that you want to see out of the coach? What kind of instruction? Rattle up? What was that? Simple. Keeping it simple. Instructions. Yeah, good. What else? Clear and concise. Yeah, because you're dealing with young kids there. No need to be too technical. In fact, self-discovery will be even better. What else? In terms of instruction. Demonstration. Yeah. So helping, if demonstration will help it, you might want to do that. So you got that all, right? So again, as coach, is almost intuitive. You have been trained to understand that instruction, if you deliver some instruction, for a lot of times, you're almost looking down like that to the young athletes, coach, athlete, all right? To them, we look like a big human being, all right, and down there. So how do we bring ourselves down to their level? Make it simple, make it something that's fun, yet they are taking instruction. If they find that they are constantly being told what to do there, well, it might not be a positive thing, so you've got to adapt to that. In terms of organization, what can we do in order to be more effective? Especially with young athletes. What happens in some of the organization when you are trying to run a particular sports activity and then you find that it's not happening? How can you get it better? Student ratio, something to do with the student ratio. What about it?
Minimal size.
Yep. Yep. What happens usually? Sometimes in school, some of you are engaged to do CCAs, and then you are one coach, and then you have to deal with like 30, 40 of them, some even more, right? So how you organize them is important, right? So it is important that not only you plan for the session so that it's effective, you know the size that you're dealing with so that you have an effective ratio, or you make sure within the way you organize there is enough active time. You're given enough time to develop those skills that you want them to do. Alright? I've seen it, okay? Where there's a long line just waiting to go and kick a ball. So the rest of the time they are just standing and waiting to just kick the ball. So could that have been done better? Right? So things like that you need to consider. Feedback. You're dealing with young kids, so they are very sensitive. What you say to them. And we all know from coaching, we talk about sandwich. Can somebody tell me what the sandwich method is all about? That? So something positive first to start out with, and then what you're trying to correct, and then end up with something positive to encourage them. Right? So that kind of a method. So especially when you're dealing with young kids, those are important. But more than that, it must be more specific. Don't give them too many instructions there. Keep it simple, like some of you have mentioned as well. Keep it simple and then let it move on. Right? So some of these are intuitive. Keep sharing. And the last bit about skill acquisition, like I said, I will leave Chiayi to touch on. But what we are trying to encourage is, we'll apply a constraint-led style coaching. This approach is important. Why? It promotes self-discovery. In other words, let them learn for themselves. No need to tell, this is what I want you to achieve and so on. You tell the end goal and then they will find the solution themselves. There are many ways to one outcome that you want. Right? So, the other thing is always having fun, there's game, but yet they're learning. So something for us to consider. Jean-Coté mentioned about what coach expertise is all about. So he proposed this. He says that the consistent application of what we mentioned about the professional knowledge, the interpersonal knowledge, the intrapersonal knowledge, alright? In creating and developing these athletes in terms of their competence, their confidence, character, and connection. Within the sports context that you have created is what an expert coach is all about. So for you, you have the opportunity to work with young athletes there, and you have the opportunity to know whether it's going to be effective. Okay, as long as you keep in mind, these 4 C's is mainly to develop them, because some of them will just be for lifelong participation in the sports, right? You may not be serious. For some of them, they will be serious because they are going on the performance. Each child is different, right? Although that particular child is a bit autistic, right? So, conventionally, you expect the child to be drawing something beautiful, you know, in an A4 size paper, a nice fish, and so on. But this child is different. He sees it from a different perspective. So he was sketching all black, images there, and to some it looks dark, man. Why is this this child drawing it in that manner? But later on, when you see the overall picture, it's so artistic, right? Right? So every child is different. So that's what you're going to be experiencing, right? In sports as well. Different child learns it in a slightly different way. It won't be everyone will be learning as fast because you stick to one particular way. You must allow them to discover it in their own different way, right? So the other thing that is important is coaches have to see themselves as leaders. If you don't see yourself as leaders to try and create a program that is unique, that can bring out the best out of the participant, then it will never happen. In other words, because you come in with your own coaching philosophy, right? Each coach has his own different coaching philosophy. You have your own values as well, but you also need to know what is the MOE's JSA values, right? You cannot just be imposing your values. But all these have got
and influence in how you deliver and what sort of leadership behaviors you would project. And it's important that we have some form of clarity on that, because like the last phrase, the quality of an athlete's experience can never exceed the quality of the leadership providing it. In other words, if the coach do not provide that kind of a leadership in what they want to deliver within that program, well, it will be limited to that. But if you see yourself as providing leadership to ensure that experience will be positive, engaging, fun, then it will happen. It will not happen intuitively. So, what then? We talk about the coach having to have that values, that philosophy, and a goal out of that program that you want to do. What is the outcome you want out of the athlete? We talk about these 4 C's. So I want you to be comfortable with knowing what these 4 C's are about. So you want within your program that they become competent. In other words, they have feeling that, yep, I've learned something, a skill that's there. I'm comfortable because I learned badminton, I learned swimming, I learned whatever skill that you teach, right? The other C is confidence. In other words, they feel that there is self-worth in what they are learning through the sport that they are involved. So in your program, they will feel good. They want to come back every session there because they feel they are learning something. They feel more and more confident of their own ability and self-worth. Okay, that's what confidence is all about. Connection. Constantly, they have to engage with their peers. They've got to engage with you as a coach. They've got to engage with parents or administrators and so on. So you've got to guide them in how to do that. Because as coach as well, you will be having to deal with similar things. You have to deal with the athletes, you have to deal with the parents, you have to deal with people like us, coordinators and fellow coach or coach developers. And the last bit, character. While we all say, yeah, character is important, but do we as coaches really see that value, or do we just impart the technical skills? Okay, so that's something. So, what would the coach need to know? Can you all rattle out? In order to achieve that, what would the coach need to know? The most obvious ones, right? You have gone through all your accreditation, you are all NYSI certified, I hope, or registered. So, what would be the areas that you need to know? So you need to have your professional knowledge, right? Your whatever level that you are at now allows you to be competent in delivering it, to set that sporting setting so that you can deliver those outcomes, the 4 C's that you want. That's obvious. Okay, that's helped you because you have gone through all your technical courses, your relevant theory courses, your basic sports science or whatever you have it. Okay, to allow you to have that professional knowledge. So I won't touch too much on that. My focus will be in the center portion here that talks about how then do you help them in terms of their interpersonal skills. Because you too are needing to be competent in that. And we talk about that 4 I's. If you notice, it's deliberate. It makes it easier for us to understand it. It's all starting with I, so the 4 I's. So these are the knowledge and behaviors as coaches that you want to be able to acquire so that you can help your athletes. And that's not just confined to JSA, right? We are talking about universal, whichever athletes you are dealing with. And the last bit is intrapersonal. That means as a coach as well, in order for you to improve, you need to do reflection. Are you doing the right thing? Are you adapting to the changes? Whatever you thought will happen, really happening? So we're going to touch a little bit on that, but my focus will be in the center bit, and the focus for Chiayi will be in terms of skill acquisition there, a variation, constraint-based coaching, right? And some of my colleagues will be helping out with reflection as well, talking to you about, yep, do you think you are doing the things that are right? Is there something that we need to tweak? So the youth head coaches, some of the colleagues here, like Simon there, I've got Leonard there, Joanne somewhere at the back there, will help you and guide you in some of the things that you are doing. So very quickly, you understand the gist of that. So I don't want it to be one way. So I'm going to ask you, what do you think would be the important coaching behaviors in terms of instruction? How can you help in terms of developing the 4 C's? In other words, you want them to be competent, you want them to have confidence, you want them to develop character. So what's important about the instruction? If you look at a coach, what is it that you want to see out of the coach? What kind of instruction? Rattle up. Over there. Simple. Keeping it simple. Instructions. Yeah, good. What else? Clear and concise. Yeah, because you're dealing with young kids there. No need to be too technical. In fact, self-discovery will be even better. What else? In terms of instruction. Demonstration. Yep. So helping, if demonstration will help it, you might want to do that. So you got that all, right? So again, as coach, is almost intuitive. You have been trained to understand that instruction, if you deliver some instruction for a lot of times, you are almost looking down like that to the young athlete, coach, athlete. Alright? To them, we look like a big human being, alright, and out there. So how do we bring ourselves down to their level? Make it simple, make it something that is fun, yet they are taking instruction. If they find that they are constantly being told what to do there, well, it might not be a positive thing. So you got to adapt to that. In terms of organization, what can we do in order to be more effective, especially with young athletes? What happens in some of the organization when you are trying to run a particular sports activity and then you find that it's not happening? How can you get it better? Student ratio, something to do with the student ratio. What about it?
Manageable size.
Yep. Yep. What happens usually? Sometimes in school, some of you are engaged to do CCAs, and then you are one coach, and then you have to deal with like 30, 40 of them, some even more. All right. So how you organize that is important, right? So it is important that not only you plan for the session so that it's effective, you know the size that you're dealing with so that you have an effective ratio, or you make sure within the way you organize there is enough active time. They're given enough time to develop those skills that you want them to do. Alright? I've seen it, okay? Where there's a long line just waiting to go and kick the ball. So the rest of the time they are just standing and waiting to just kick the ball. So could that have been done better? Right? So things like that you need to consider. Feedback. You're dealing with young kids, so they are very sensitive. What you say to them. And we all know from coaching, we talk about sandwich. Can somebody tell me what the sandwich method is all about? Like that. So something positive first to start off with, and then what you're trying to correct, and then end off with something positive to encourage them. Right? So that kind of a method. So especially when you're dealing with young kids, those are important. But more than that, it must be more specific. Don't give them too many instructions there. Keep it simple, like some of you have mentioned as well. Keep it simple, and then let it move on. Right? So some of these are intuitive. Keep sharing. And the last bit about skill acquisition, like I said, I will leave Chiayi to touch on. But what we are trying to encourage is, well, apply a constraint-led style coaching. This approach is important. Why? It promotes self-discovery. In other words, let them learn for themselves. No need to tell, this is what I want you to achieve and so on. You tell the end goal and then they will find the solution themselves. There are many ways to one outcome that you want. Right? So the other thing is, it's always having fun, there's game, but yet they're learning. So something for us to consider. Jean Coté mentioned about what coach expertise is all about. So he proposed this. He says that the consistent application of what we mentioned about the professional knowledge, the interpersonal knowledge, the intrapersonal knowledge, all right? In creating and developing these athletes in terms of their competence, their confidence, character, and connection. Within the sports context that you have created is what an expert coach is all about. So for you, you have the opportunity to work with young athletes there, and you have the opportunity to know whether it's going to be effective. Okay, as long as you keep in mind, these 4 C's is mainly to develop them, because some of them will just be for lifelong participation in the sports, right? They may not be serious. For some of them, they will be serious because they are going on the performance track. They want to represent Singapore in that sport that they have chosen. Okay? And for all of them, they want to develop themselves as a person. Not everybody is going to be a champion, but everybody can be a person of good character. And that's going to be thanks to all of you all who are involved and have the opportunity to deal with them. Okay, this next video that I'm going to share is quite interesting. It was in the World Under-12 Junior Football Tournament hosted in Tokyo, Japan. It's between FC Barcelona and one of the clubs in Japan. What was interesting, it was a close final, and the outcome is FC Barcelona won by a goal. Okay, what was interesting is the reaction at the end of the match, so have a look.
In case you didn't understand the Japanese, it's amazing, right? 112 athletes there, and look at the work that was done by the coaches to develop those Spanish young athletes. The footballers, they could have been clueless with what's happening except self-interest. They won the World Juniors Under-12 tournament. They should be celebrating with their parents. They will probably run. I think it's probably if it's a Singaporean athlete, you will probably do that. Run to the corner there and celebrate. What was happening with these Spanish young athletes? They were just consoling the Japanese players there, encouraging them before they went on to celebrate. And you can see for the longest time, they were not celebrating yet. They were sensitive to that. They've got character. They showed character. They were making connection. Right? So to me, not only the coach has developed in them the competency, they have been strong in developing character and making the right kind of connection. That's what you want to see out of your athletes, in whatever they represent, that they are able to carry themselves as well as this. And these are under 12, okay? I repeat, these are under 12. So the maturity that these athletes are showing is pretty amazing, right? So that's something for us to consider. So let's introduce this idea of the 4 I's for coaches. So it's important. We need, as coaches, to have this idealized influence. In other words, we need to be the role model. We need them to know that as coaches, I'll show you the way. Not, I expect you to do this way, but I actually do different things. In other words, I've seen coaches, right? You have seen it. They say, oh, play fair, but then they say, okay, don't go and admit a mistake, right? Never mind. So you are showing a different thing. So it is important as coaches that you are providing that idealized influence. So what does that mean in terms of idealized influence? In other words, you must role model what is the behavior you expect that. If you want sportsmanship, if you want excellence, then you got to show that. Alright? The second one in terms of showing vulnerability and humility is that if you make a mistake, it's okay. Even as adults, to tell the young kid that, oh, sorry, I made a mistake, yeah, we should be doing this. No, I said the wrong thing there, we should be doing it in a different manner. Right? If they see you as an example that you're willing to admit that you made a mistake, they are going to mimic that because they are going to be the first one to do that as well. And it's thanks to you. And a lot of times you have players who say to their parents that, you know, my coach said this and this and this. You are a big part in their life. So you want that. So this idea of the first I, idealized influence, is that you as coaches are the role model. And you inspire them through that. In how you project yourself. Because they will probably treat you like God. Right? Inspirational motivation. Even though it's a JSA, you may not be involved in a high performance competition or high level competition as yet. It doesn't stop you into creating goals for them. The goals could be individual goals, goals that develop the skills, goals that tell them, okay, this is where I want you to be. At the end of the session, I hope that you will be able to learn that particular skill. Things like that. Those are inspired motivation for them. In other words, bringing them to know that they can achieve. And sometimes you have a child looking at this person is talented and I'm nowhere. So how do you inspire this child to know that even at that session you don't have to be that. You can be that person maybe in 3 to 5 years time. But for now, your goal is just simply to be 1/10 of a second going to that distance. That's enough to inspire this child that, yeah, I achieved that. And you'll be surprised that that's a big achievement for that child. Right? So, the other thing that is important is this idea of a team concept. And we have badminton. Badminton, you have doubles. So, sometimes you have that team concept there. But we forget that a team concept can come from individual sports if you make them see it as the whole entire team. And we tend to forget that. So even though you may be in an individual sport, right, you still create that unity of your JSA team. Right? So that's important. And they will learn to associate that. If I help my teammate in learning it, and not every man for himself or herself. Right? So the other one is to provide rationale of why you're doing it a particular way and help guide them in their learning, right? And keep in mind that if they are not motivated to learn, then something may not be right in terms of the behavior that you're showing, or something is not right in how you are trying to inspire each individual, which is different. One athlete's motivation may be totally different from another athlete's motivation. True? Anybody at this point want to share some of this, the 2 I's that we have talked about in your particular sport, and maybe the others can learn as well? Something that strikes you, as I was talking to you about the 2 I's here, right, that you felt is important. First one, in terms of idealized influence. How many of you all have the experience that parent come to you and then tell you that, you know, because you said this, my child now do this? Put your hands up if you have ever experienced that. Which you can sure have a lot. I'm sure it happens to you all that the child constantly talk about you as their motivation for success. You know, they like the way you are doing the skill. Whatever you do seems to be like wow to them. Am I right? So indirectly, you're inspiring them. You are bringing them to the next level there. Right? So the next one, maybe I'll move on. In terms of intellectual stimulation, how do you get them to be more involved? A lot of times I've been coached as well in that manner where the adults will be telling me what to do and I've got no input. There's no way of saying that, can we have a longer session for games? You know, and it matters, right? It should matter. You are trying to engage me, so somehow or other you need them to be a part of your decision making. Okay, it may overall achieve what you are planning originally, but yet what you want is to get them to feel that they are part of that decision making. Okay, at a higher level, you know that this is often the thing where you are not going to be dictating it. You have to get inputs from the athletes. But even at the junior level, some things. It could be, yeah, do you think we will have a 7 minutes or 5 minutes warm up? Simple as that. And you will get the response from them rather than you just keep quiet throughout there and it's constantly your decision. Okay, this area here, can you all share some of the ways in which you are doing currently in your role as a coach? I'm sure some of you all have done the JSA and you know that some of this work. Anybody wants to share? Please don't be shy.
Yeah. So that the children exceeding the make mistakes that they learn themselves. Then kind of guide them the right way of doing things. But they learn through doing other than your instruction.
Okay, for sailing, how do you allow them to make some form of decision? Do you have examples that you can share?
True, sailing, because we work in an unpredictable environment. So first you have to make sure it's as safe as can be. And with young children, it's mostly, you know, you're working in a shallow area. It's just letting them explore, see, letting them have fun. And through having fun, they get to love the sea, love the boat, love sailing. And then that's when you start communicating more technical terms, more information. But it's only when they are actually enjoying themselves, then you can tell them.
So there's opportunity for them to explore and make their own decision. But yeah, I'm sure in the background there is really boundaries in terms of safety that you are constantly looking out for, that you will never go beyond that boundaries. So you will have the markers and things there. Other examples?
It's about sticks, right?
Yeah.
So if you check the sailors, most of them they like to do racing. They don't like trails. So what happens? Okay, so do you want to do racing? No racing. Yeah, you can do racing later after you do this set of skills. So it means to encourage them to do something that they don't like because they to achieve what they like in their thing.
So, do you get that? So one way to motivate them, right? So you know what they like in your particular sport activity. So you use that to try and entice them to do a little bit more of what they actually don't like, right? So that's one way of engaging them. Any other example? Maybe one more example. You didn't hear too much on track and field. You didn't hear too much on badminton, swimming. And I forgot, there's one more sport here. Shooting. Yeah, shooting is even tougher, right? Half the time they are just staring at the target and shooting there. Now, how do you get them to be more engaged? How do they make decisions? I'm curious. I would love to hear from the shooting coach.
What game would they like to play? Would they like to play in finals one with elimination, or they want to play games that are not so related to shooting but a balance game? ideal behavior or you answer certain question, you need to like compound and change that for small reward later.
Nice idea. Right? So the more they do a particular behavior, they get a particular token or points, right? And you use that to encourage them at the end of it to do something else, right? Or to give them something else so that they can make those decisions, right? And the last bit, individualized consideration. It's so important, right? Especially young kids like that we are showing interest not only to the talented, but to the ones that really, at the moment, can't make it, right? How do you keep them engaged? How do you encourage them? And if you show that you're genuinely giving interest to them, not only to the ones who look like the future Lionel Messi or Ronaldinho or whatever, you are going to encourage that person, and in future, that person might be your true Messi. Right? So it's important that we are mindful of each individual. And I have seen in school coaching that there are coaches, it is the NSG or the National School Games. You have a situation where their focus is totally on the main players. I don't even say registered players. I'm talking about main players. The reserve is almost like they're blind to that group of athletes. When in fact, you can still engage them and show them that how you can break through, and within season they might even prove you that they are capable of breaking in there. But you've got to give them the opportunity. You've got to give them the individualized consideration. That's what it is meant. Okay, so keep that in mind when we are talking about this. Okay, the other portion that we are talking about is the reflection. Remember, I talked about intrapersonal. So I like this quote, right? This quote says that 10 years of coaching without reflection is 1 year of coaching repeated 10 times. You understand what I mean? So you're doing the same thing over and over again, right or wrong, is just being done again. So it is important that there is reflection. And I think if you have gone for last year's Wade Gilbert's session, he talks very strongly about the need to do reflection. So if you don't do reflection, well, you're not going to get anything out of that. Right? You're not going to improve as a coach. So it's important. So there are 3 areas in terms of reflection. One of them is inaction. What do you think that difference is? It's very subtle. So reflection, inaction. What do you think it means? Yep. So you heard that? So what you're doing as a coach, right? You organize a session, just like I was saying about a football, the shooting skill. There's a whole line of it, and you realize, oh no, there are so many of them just waiting and passively waiting. So how do you engage them? Quickly reflect within action or inaction, break it down to more. Get more balls there, get more balls going, so you'll be 3. After I kick, I pick it up, next one I've already shot in, 1 more in line to go, and then they rotate. So constantly they are engaged. Right? Instead of allowing that to happen, you've got so many, and I've seen it right before my eyes. Everyone just standing by the pool deck there waiting to dive. And dive. And come out, and then there is another 15 waiting there. All to be tested. So 15 of them waiting behind them. Is that what it's all about? Okay, but of course there's a safety factor to aquatic activities, right? But we should be mindful as coaches there. So reflection in action is during the activity itself. So you make changes. If you see that they are not engaged with you, well, you need to reflect back a little bit on your 4 eyes, which part of that you are not engaging enough of, perhaps. Okay? And professional knowledge. What else can you do in order to try to alter and make that sports setting a little bit better? So what's the reflection on action? You roughly know already. Inaction is to do with while the coaching itself. On action, What do you think that is? So between what? So after one particular half that you are doing it, and you have that break, they take their water break, and then you start to reflect, maybe it's not working. Okay, they are not engaged enough, so how can I tweak? And you may have to totally tweak it, right? Depending on how much of variability you have within your needs, right? So it is important that even during the practice, at the end of it, you think about what can you do better? You know, what can tweak in order to help, like some of those things that are being shared. I remember Richard Shuttleworth shared in terms of constraint based, and again in the sport of shooting. I've always admitted, okay, they stare at a target and all the time they're shooting. So how do you make it fun? He makes it fun by shooting balloons instead of bullseye. So different color balloons. So okay, everybody, you're gonna hit the red balloon now. It's so fun for a young kid. You put one balloon there, I'm shooting balloons. But are we doing the same thing? A balloon is confined by a certain area, right? And you want the accuracy to hit that target. So that makes it fun. So simple thing like that has changed because there's reflection in terms of, yeah, the target is not working, even though maybe I say how many points. They're not interested in the point. But you put one target like that, I'll be happy. You put a toy soldier like that, I'll be happy. Right? And I'm sure the shooting coach will do some variations of that, right, to make it fun. And the last bit is the retrospective reflection on action. Yes. So we talk about practice. So moving on, what do you think we are talking about? At the end of the program. So at the end of the program, what works, what don't work. So that's why it is important that we are trying to help value add in terms of the coaching and improve in terms of the coaching that you're doing for the JSA program. So that reflection and that process that our youth coaches, youth aid coaches here who are going to be talking to you and having conversation with you all in terms of what can be tweaked better, what is right, what is wrong, that you want to try and make possible changes and things like that is useful. And this cross-sharing, I feel, is the most useful. I learned a lot from how you configure it from a sport that potentially might be looking down, but there's so many things involved in there to engage them that we can learn and transfer it over. Okay, I've finished pretty much my area of transformational coaching. Okay, I think it's important that we as coaches know in terms of what sort of outcomes that we want. And can you all remember what is the outcomes and what is the latter that we want to try and remind ourselves? The four C's. Can you all recollect the 4 C's? Competency, that's the most natural for coaches. Yep. Confidence, alright, their self-worth, that whatever you are engaging them to do, they feel they are learning something and that they are confident in the activity thanks to what you are doing. What else? Character, although it's so intuitive that we say, yep, I want to build the character of the athletes, but in reality, do we highlight it? Do we spend a little time that says, I like this girl. This girl makes sure that at the end of a session, she helps to keep all the equipment. I didn't have to tell her. She did that. And guess what? The next session, you have another one doing that. Highlight it. If punctuality is what you are trying to focus on in terms of character, well, highlight that. Alright, so and last C. Connection is always undervalued. Connection. Not only us as coaches trying to engage with the parents, engage with the athletes, engage with your coordinators and administrators, right? For the athletes, they have to learn how to engage with the peers. And I showed you that video of the under 12 intentionally because you're dealing with somebody young is there. And if you think they are not mature enough to deal with that kind of connection, then that was an example, that's a perfect example of what they can do and the awareness of showing sportsmanship, humility, right? And then last bit, 4 I's for you all. That's what we all remember. What's the first one? Idolize, influence. Okay? You as a role model, you as guiding them how to do it right. Second one, inspirational motivation, right? Giving them something. What can I look forward to? What is the skill for somebody who's talented compared to somebody who's really struggling even to do a basic skill? How do I stay motivated in your session? Right? Third one, intellectual stimulation. How do I ensure that they're not just absorbing what you're taking, but they have a part to say that maybe I have opportunity to explore it. Maybe today I'll do more of certain things. That little bit of decision making is good enough for them. They will remember it. And the last one, individualized consideration. Each one are different. That video of that little child there who thinks totally differently from the rest who are more conventional is a reminder to us each child should be treated differently. Not everything works for every athlete. Okay? So I hope you all understand what we're trying to share with you all. Transformational coaching is pretty much about that. That understanding of how you as a coach should have the knowledge in terms of your professional knowledge of what you know, the interpersonal knowledge and the intrapersonal knowledge, okay, that will help you and guide you to deliver a good program. Okay? With that, thank you very much. I'm going to leave the questions off to the end because I'm going to, I don't know whether it's a break now or we move on. It's a break. Okay, so if it's a break, can you all have a quick